So today we're going to show you how to assemble the Z drive for the Voron 2.1. And you'll see all the kind of parts kind of laid out here in front of me. I'll link them in the video description as well. And then also, as always, just go by the official BOM and any sort of official guidelines that may be released. But this is just kind of walk you through it as far as assembly goes. So first thing we're going to do is I've got a NEMA 17 motor here. I've already gone ahead and put the 16 tooth GT2 pulley on here. I won't pull it and put it back on just in the interest of time, but I'm sure you all know how to do that. And then, of course, use thread locker. So what you do, you're going to take your Asterson dampener and put it on there, and it will only go one way. This flange right here keeps you from basically putting this on reversed. And this is actually a knockoff Asterson dampener. Use whatever you can source. It's not mission critical, really, one way or the other. So we are going to do that. We're going to just take that, and that's going to sit over there for right now. So next thing is we have got a 50 millimeter long, 5 millimeter diameter shaft and one of the 80 tooth pulleys that you printed off and built. I'll go over how to assemble one of those later. It's really pretty simple and straightforward. This is affixed to that shaft. Once again, thread locker on your set screws or grub screws, and the shaft, as I said, you're going to want a flat in it, and that's a DIY thing. The only source I've really seen for shafts with a flat in it is Masumi, and they want $5 or $6 a piece per these, so I will break out a Dremel tool and suffer for my art that way. So what we're going to do is, now we have a 625 bearing and the rear motor mount here. And so all this does is snap in. It may be a little bit forceful, or it may require some force depending on your print settings. So if you have to use a 10 millimeter socket or a giant rubber mallet, you can get it in there. Just be careful not to break anything. Don't get too excited about it. So next up, we're going to take this, and we're going to need a couple of washers. Use what works best for you. It's going to be kind of one of those measure and test sort of things. 3 seems to work for me. So I'm going to take 3 M5 1 millimeter thick washers there, and I'm going to put them on there, and then I'm going to run this shaft through the bearing, and there's that. And that right there is just to make sure that the gear here, or the pulley I should say, doesn't interfere with the printed body. So after that, we are going to take 2 M5 washers, like thus, and affix the next part, which is a 20 tooth pulley, GT2, to this shaft here. So we're going to pull this, and a little bit of thread locker on that one. Pull this other set screw. Thread locker on it. And this is blue Loctite. I recommend it in the stick. It just makes life so much easier and makes it so much easier to handle. So you'll find that in the video description below as well. So we will put that there. And now we're going to find the flat on the shaft, and we are going to affix the pulley with one of the set screws against the flat so it has an index point so it doesn't go anywhere, and then we'll snug the other one down as well. Alright, then we get another 2 washers, and then we get the front motor mounts. And as I've said, I've kind of cheated and I've already got the bearing installed here. So that drops on. Actually, as I said, this is one of those kind of measure and test sort of things. I'm going to go no washers there. That just gives me a better fit. But depending on the length of your shafts and everything else, you may need to use 1, 2, 10, however many you need to use to get that assembled. Here then, I've already got it kind of pre-staged in there, but there is an M5 by 16 hiding in there. you're going to want another M5 by 16 going here. And these are where we're going to affix it to your rails. I'm just going to put these in there now so I don't misplace them later. But next up, so this is how this is going to go. Like this, as it attempts to focus. But now we kind of need the motor, don't we now? So as I said, this is the back support. So it is going to be sitting like that, which means you basically want to have your motor wire exiting on this side of the printed part. So we've got this, taking this, we set it here, we line up these holes here, and I've got an M3 by 8, handily enough right there, and don't snug these down all the way because this is how we're going to tension this motor on the belt here momentarily. So I'm going to take these two M3 by 8s, tighten them up, not snug, just because we're going to need to adjust them, as I said. Then we're going to take our 188 tooth GT2 belt, I should say. Going to wrap that around, slide that around, and we're going to get plenty of tension on it, and we're going to tighten this up so it actually will hold. All right, so this is how it looks right now. Then, because cosmetics are important, we're going to go ahead and put the belt guard on. And the belt guard is one of those things that some people say you probably don't need. You probably could get away without it. But it keeps wandering wires, children's fingers, cats, dogs, etc. from getting into the belt and hurting themselves, hurting your printer, setting your house on fire, setting your mom's basement on fire. Keeps bad things from happening. And no one likes bad things happening. So, M5 by 16 goes in here. Mine fell out as I was manipulating this. So, there's that one there. We will do the same here. And so we now have that kind of assembled. But now, this is our placeholder extrusion, because I don't want to bring my entire printer up to the film studio. So we're going to get some hammerheads. In this case, I'm using the Misumi flat T-nuts. Or not flat, I'm sorry, roll-in T-nuts. These are the short body ones. And that is just because I like them, and they work really well, and I spent way too much time cursing T-nuts, the cheap roll-in ones. So, you're going to need to kind of determine the spacing for things. In my case, I got it wrong on this first shot, so I'm just going to scoot those over a little bit, and I'm going to need this. I'm just grabbing the appropriate Allen key here. We'll take this, and I'm going to lock this motor in. And one of the nice things about this design is since the Z is modular, not modular, but it's in separate components, you can index it together, and then, before you tighten it down, slide them towards each other, which is great. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the compressor foot, which is this, to act as a foot. And so you're just going to get a screw and affix that there, which I can't seem to have, well, bother. So that screw's missing. Just assume I did it. But this right here is your base Z motor. As you can see, once you get it assembled, right here is where your Z belts will go. and you'll run that up through there, and away you go. One thing about this, and I'm going to show you this, but I don't have a contrasting corner piece for this to actually index on, but the motor assembly uses the skirt to actually help support and protect the motor as well. Um, that makes the skirts less optional than they were, but it really gives it a nice clean look. You'll see more when I do a full build video on these. But for right now, this is how you assemble the Z motor. If you have any questions, drop in the comments below. Join us in Discord. And until then, have fun.